Caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The Caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the Caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the Caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop.
From the heaven to the hell, the mic Calderese, the Caltrop, he never stops, so ring the bell. He bring the facts, he spin up every morning till we sleep. He get it deep, Mike Calderese, in your head and in your sheets. And we don't mind, and we don't care, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop. And we don't mind, and we don't care, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop. And we
Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop, and boy, do we have a show for you tonight. I am your host, Michael Calderese. Welcome to this awesome episode. I'm excited. I am pumped because it all kind of came together like today. This Assemblyman says, "Yo, I want to go on today." We got something big coming up on Monday, and then I have some big media personalities. Obviously, you know, Assemblyman Paul Kanitra is going to start us off. We also have Mr. Fit Nik, Conservative Willy, and I call her Mrs. Teacher New Jersey because I am proper. I am proper. You're going to hear that a couple of times tonight. But listen, man, we have an incredible show, and I call myself the Caltrop because Caltrops are defense mechanisms, and part of being a defense mechanism for your own self is to hear people speak and to hear honest questions asked, and not easy lollipop questions, but to get the information directly from the source. And I'm very proud to be able to bring you some of these sources. And one of the sources that I'm going to bring up, I first seen over clips, and I was impressed. And then I seen him in person, and he was wearing flip-flops and a T-shirt at a big event. And I was even more impressed because that's my kind of guy. I'm a sweatpants T-shirt kind of guy. And then I hear him talking. It's like, all right, so you dress like this, you walk like this, you talk like this because you are confident. And then I heard a story about this guy from a very good friend of mine who works at a place I'm not going to name, but he works for special needs kids. And this guy was supposed to be there for 20 minutes, wound up being there for 2 hours, took a lot of information down and really helped that program. So I say all that to bring you this guy, Mr. Paul Kanitra. Assemblyman Paul Kanitra, man, how are you, sir?
What's going on, Mike? My first question for you, and I'm going to flip the script here. Was that a band that went in studio to make the Caltrop song, or was that AI? Because either way, it was pretty incredible.
So it's bad. It's awesome. I appreciate that, man. So no, my buddy John Sims is like an AI-aholic.
Okay.
You know, so when we first started making, he made a lot of the bumpers. He did everything for the show. The explosion, like this guy, the explosion. There, he did that all through AI. I mean, he made all my bumpers. 2 different songs. My when I call myself the father of brick song, he made on that Sunni. I think it was amazing. It's amazing.
It's pretty badass. Pretty badass. Good job. Well done, dude.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. So, hey, listen, man. You know, I want to get in. I appreciate all the questions with me, but I want to get into you because you know you're my kind of guy. You're sitting there in camo, for Christ's sake. I really love it. But I saw you go off today, and I got to be honest, man. You know, there's some of the things that really drove me crazy here. And I want to start off with this. I have 4 different little clips, but let's just bring everybody up to speed on why you got pissed, why I saw you really mad, and why I think it's absolutely disgusting how you're even being talked to and addressed.
I'm excusing the witness.
I'm allowed to ask a question of the witness, Chairman.
Not right now. Ma'am, have a good day. Thank you.
That's literally my right as a legislator representing the 10th
You can say whatever
district.
you want. I excuse the witness. It's my authority as committee chair.
So first off, who is that?
That's Chairman Joe Danielson, and about a minute later, he crapped all over Point Pleasant too. That isn't the first time I've been cut off by any
this
stretch.
one? This one right here?
I mean, I was duly elected to represent 250,000 people on the 10th legislative district. I have the right to ask questions of
I am
witnesses
familiar with
the
the exclusive wealthy shores of Point Pleasant. Don't have to be reminded of that.
I don't know what he's talking about, dude. Let me tell you, if you look at the per capita income of his district versus my district, his is like 50% wealthier. I grew up in a $40,000 house on Griffiths Ave across from the train tracks in Point Pleasant Beach. And, this guy is out of his mind.
It just shows the dismissive attitude with these guys, man. And it really shows like what you're up against being in there. Why don't you do me a favor before we get into what you're doing? And I know we have to be quick. I only got you for a limited amount of time. You have babies in the background. You're headed to DC and all that. But tell me real quick, what is it? Take us in there for 30 seconds. And what is it like dealing with the opposition who completely controls everything, and you only have that small little slice of your pie? What's it like, real quick?
So that was a committee hearing. They run the bills through the committee before they bring them to the floor. You know, as soon as a bill is going to get posted in committee, that they're going to be pushing it through no matter what is said. I've been in the legislature now for 2 years and a couple months, and there hasn't been a single no vote from a Democrat in any of the committees that I serve on. And that's despite people of all backgrounds coming and testifying, people telling them this bill is garbage, this bill is good, this bill needs this amendment, this bill needs that change. So you know when you're walking in there that the goose is already cooked and that, it's already set up to go through. So you have to prepare accordingly. And a lot of times they don't even read their own bills. They don't even know what's going on. And they bring these people in to testify to support the bills because they think that they're going to help make it look better. They're not used to people asking questions of the witnesses. And at that committee hearing, I started asking questions of some of these people. I got one person to admit that they don't believe in any deportations. I got this other nonprofit association who came in to admit that they get their funding from the state of New Jersey, and then they use that funding to pay for lawyers so that illegal immigrants can fight their own damn deportations. It's like bizarro world. So he was getting ticked off that I was getting some of these answers, and he just decided, I'm going to cut it off right here. Kanitra can't ask any more questions.
Something like this?
This state has been taken over by you guys
Thank you, Mr.
pandering to
Chairman. Have a
radical
good-
illegal aliens. They're investigating.
I'm sorry, but there are no illegal aliens. There are individuals that are undocumented.
So let me ask you a
Mr.
question.
Mr.
Do you think
Kanitra,
anybody should be deported?
Mr. Kanitra, do not answer him.
Oh, you don't want him to answer.
No,
if he thinks
because you
anybody
don't
should
have
be
the floor.
deported.
You were done. You do not have the floor. I have not recognized you.
It's
I'm
because he
calling you
doesn't
to order.
think anybody should be
care.
deported, Chairman. That's the truth.
You're out of order.
I got to say, that's awesome prep work, dude. That's like 3 times I've brought something up and you're like, oh, let me just click this button. I've got that clip there. The one thing that I don't think most people have clips of because they scrubbed the video from the website was some of the lunatics in the crowd, these other progressive, far left lunatics that think there shouldn't be any borders. I was going at it directly with them too. But it's a crazy situation. It's not the first time I've been shut down. When they tried to bring a lot of these bills to the floor for a floor vote in the last session just about a month ago, I brought some posters with me with pictures of some of the illegal immigrants that have been picked up by ICE and the heinous child rape, abuse, murder, all these horrendous things that were on there, and they didn't want to see that, so they shut me up again. So I'm getting used to it, but I don't think they've learned that if they just let me ask the questions, maybe it wouldn't go as quite as viral as if they shut me down and they pissed everybody across New Jersey off in the process.
It's unbelievable. They really don't get it, right? If they just let you ask the questions are going to be answered, and the questions are probably they're not going to give you the answer, so it's going to be dull. What makes it exciting is these idiots that act like that to you and give you something. Like they do it to me in my towns all the time when you ask very basic questions like, "Hey, why are you doing something?" It's amazing. But I want to get into the specifics with you really quick, okay? Because I'm telling you, man, I could do this with you for an hour and a half. You said this, and I love the defense of Bricktown, but I want to get into the specific numbers here.
What about the working class people in Brick and Toms River? Do they have the right to get questions asked to people who are here protecting 900,000 people illegally, costing the state $7 billion
The next
a year, Chairman?
I'm going to call up, you're out of order.
You're out of order, sir. You were out of order. So A lot of people have criticized you and said this. Where does your number of 900,000 illegal aliens and that number of, the billions of dollars that we spend on them, where do you get those numbers from? Because, the way it's reported, it's much lower than that.
So if there's one thing that I am and that my office is we're a bunch of nerds and we're a bunch of statisticians and data analysts, okay? These weren't numbers that we pulled out of our ass and decided to just start talking about. First of all, I went down to the border with the Center for Immigration Studies, which is another whole office filled with nerds. I spoke to Texas Border Patrol. I spoke with Border Patrol as well. And then we did an academic report where for 3 months, we crunched different studies, different numbers from FAIR and other groups across the country, both pro and anti-illegal immigration groups. We used those numbers to extrapolate out the increase that came during the Biden administration, which was severe. And that's how we were able to get to those numbers. We took the direct and indirect costs of everything that goes into it, because you have to imagine, if you're living here, right, it's your education, not just for you, but it's also your education for your kids. You have to understand that in addition to that, it's any kind of health care. A lot of people are going into emergency rooms and using it, okay? It's any kind of government subsidy program that you're getting help with, utility assistance, and on and on and on, down to how many more police officers does a town need because they might have 10,000 more residents living in it, right? And those costs keep going on and on and on, and they spiral. And I would bet you, because there's a lot of different lines that we didn't add in, that those numbers are actually higher than they are. We hedged our bets when we said those numbers.
So you think that's a conservative number of 900,000?
I genuinely think it's a conservative number, because here's the deal. When I went down to the border, we were going out at night watching people come across, and there's the gotaways that they don't even know about, that they don't even talk about. You have the individuals that come in and register for asylum status, or that they catch once they've come onto our land, and then the Biden administration was releasing them into the country. But then you have all these gotaways that were calling people up on Signal and Telegram chats, getting people to drive down and pick them up in fields, and disappearing throughout the country that nobody even knew about. So those numbers we couldn't even take into account, because you just don't know what the heck they are.
That's it. So this is insane to me. So do me a favor. If I had to ask you like the top 3 problems that you see that illegal immigration causes in our state, what would you say the biggest, like the 1, 2, 3 or 1 and 2, whatever pops in your head? What are the biggest problems that this really causes?
Look, the cost is astronomical, and disproportionately about 70% of illegal aliens are here that they're getting benefits as well.
I thought they weren't getting benefits. That's the left wing will sit there and say, hey man, the illegals do not get benefits in any way, shape, or form. And they stick to that argument. What do you say?
They funnel all the money through nonprofits. So they have all different housing assistance, different groups that operate outside of the structure of government, and then they give them millions of dollars. So they're technically not giving it to an illegal alien. And then those groups disseminate all the information. But the costs get absorbed in other ways too. When they go into hospitals and they incur, because they wind up using emergency rooms disproportionately as hospitals, they wind up incurring $10,000, $20,000, $40,000 in costs. They don't pay that. That just gets absorbed by the hospital. And the hospital isn't just taking that and writing it off in goodwill. That's why all your other costs are going up, because we all have to bear the burden of that somehow. So it's insidious. It takes place in so many different ways. It's not just like there's a line item, benefits for illegal in the state budget. They do it in a sneaky way.
And now when you say it costs us, what's the dollar amount that it costs New Jersey, just to be very clear?
$7 billion. $7 billion. And look, even if they're saying that they're not sending them benefits, you have to understand that education is one of the largest costs. And it's not just education. It's that there's so many in certain school districts like Brick and Tom's River, quite frankly, that English is as a second language. They have to bring in specialists to teach in classrooms. It takes away time from other students. They even have these boxes that wind up interpreting for the teachers a lot of time. So you have to say a question, they have to talk, you have to wait for an answer. It winds up taking twice as long to educate the kids. But that right there is a hard cost that no one can argue with.
So let me ask you this. Did you take that $7 billion and cancel it to like any perceived taxes that they pay? Because that's I wanted to play a game with you, which is like, can you answer some of the left arguments here? Did you weigh that against what they potentially bring to the economy?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we assume that there's a couple $2 billion that they're paying in sales taxes every year. But you could also play that game in other ways. Things that we didn't bring into account is how much are they driving housing costs up? If the 900,000 people here illegally in New Jersey left tomorrow, how much cheaper would that make rent for somebody in Brick Township? A lot.
A lot. And when you weigh that cost-benefit analysis, there are a whole lot of different variables that you have to factor in. So I'm glad that you're nerdy enough to be able to take this all in, bro, and regurgitate it. I really like it. So let's do another one, right? So a lot of people on the left like to say this is a federal issue. This isn't a state issue. When you have a federal government, and you've been in Congress now from through Joe Biden, right? You were with Joe Biden and now with Trump. Do you see a difference in, I guess, entry in our state or how our state's going about things as far as how they treated illegal immigration then versus now, or is it the same only on speed control?
Unfortunately, in the state, under Biden, we had a Democrat governor, and we have a Democrat governor now. So things haven't changed. I will tell you, when we were at the border and we were talking to people who were crossing, when we were talking to the lieutenant at Texas DPS, they were saying that people disproportionately seek out New York and New Jersey because of the severe amount of benefits that we're actually providing people. So that's real. But I'll also tell you, it is very easy to close the border. One of the towns we went to was Eagle Pass. And, that was right along the time that you had that controversy where Texas was closing things off and going head to head with the federal government. The areas that Texas controlled, that they said enough is enough, people weren't able to cross there. And that's what we're seeing with President Trump. The big change is, illegal immigration has essentially plummeted. And it's all the little loopholes that people use, right? Sure. Are there the people that take their families and allow themselves to be trafficked by human traffickers, to get a wristband put on, dragged across a desert, sexually abused on the journey, dying in the desert, dying when they're crossing the river, all to commit a misdemeanor or a felony, depending on if it's their first or second time. But there's all the other people who just are coming here as students, coming here on tourist and work visas, and are overstaying their visas and are abusing the system and claiming asylum and claiming that there's problems when there aren't, and then they just overstay and they're here.
Yeah, and then you think about it. Then we give them driver's licenses. I remember in New Jersey, I needed like 97 points of identification, my birth certificate, my fingerprint. They had to get my side profile in his shot. It was like you had to jump through all these hoops to get a license, and now all of a sudden everybody gets a license. It seems so hypocritical, Paul. It really does.
And it has to be fair, Mike. And that's the bottom line here, right? The bottom line is, it doesn't matter where the hell you're from, right? You're a Mexican guy, an Egyptian guy, an Italian guy, or an Irish guy. You need to do it the right way. And if you don't have to do it the right way, if you know you can just come here illegally, get benefits, and then New Jersey is going to pass all these bills to protect you from ever getting deported, why the hell would anybody come here, pay the fees, do the paperwork, wait the time, take the tests to become an American the right way? We're eroding our system. And quite frankly, these people jumping the lines are taking spots away from people who want to be here and want to do things the right way and can contribute to our society. Because again, it doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're my ancestors who literally all came through Ellis Island, and I've got the ship manifest and the paperwork and all this kind of stuff, or you're somebody that came 10 years ago and waited years to do it properly. They're all getting screwed and they're all getting laughed at.
It's listen, man. To me, it's absolutely incredible what you go through, dude. There's so many ways that I could go here with you, but this is what I want to do. I want to talk about Monday. So yeah. Monday, what is going on? Because I know that's big with you.
Look, Monday is the floor session of the assembly where they're going to take these bills that were in that committee that had all those fireworks, and they're going to jam them through again so that the governor can sign them. For whatever reason, the new governor has made this one of her priorities. And I think they want to get through it now so that then they're not tackling or talking about illegal immigration for the next couple of months or so. But this is really our last chance to stop this. There's a bill that's going to take the masks off of ICE, despite the fact that they're getting doxxed. People are showing up at their homes. They're getting run over by cars, fingers bit off, their wives and kids threatened. They want to take the masks off of them. There's another bill that's going to prevent any sharing of personal information or any identifiable information by law enforcement, which is what you need for an investigation. And if they find out that you're tracking them using license plate data, the state of New Jersey is going to tell these criminals, hey, they're tracking you. They're going to be able to ditch their cars and ditch their license plates. And then there's the grand finale of them all, the bill that codifies the Attorney General's illegal immigrant sanctuary status stuff, which is essentially going to make it impossible for law enforcement to work together, and they'll never be able to get anybody out. So we're having a rally on the steps of the State House at 11 a.m. The vote's at 1 p.m. So anybody that comes, come freeze your butts off for 30 or 45 minutes, stand outside, hear what's really going on, and then come into the chambers, come into the state legislature, sit there and watch these clowns sub their noses at everybody in New Jersey, even though 70% of this state and this country want deportations.
And this is Monday, right?
This is Monday, 11 a.m. at the State House.
At the State House. I got to tell you something, Paul. I got to tell you, it blows my mind how my tax dollars go to both fund ICE and fight ICE at the exact same time. It really drives me outside of my mind. And I give you a lot of credit for going there and doing what you're doing, man. You were a great representative of my area. I'm proud to have you as an assemblyman. I can't wait to see what you're going to do. I mean, do you have any last question? I mean, what's your plans? I know, do you want to go forward? Because you have the ability to do so.
Look, everything's on the table. I want to make as big a difference in this effed up state as I can. And while I still got energy, I don't want to be 70 years old, somebody clinging to office for forever, right? It's move up or move out for me. And, we'll see where that goes in a couple of years. But for now, we're fighting. And I'll tell you, we got a petition online. If you can't make it to Trenton on Monday, it's change.org/vote no, send them home. That's the link. Go there, pass it around, show your support, show that you don't want these bills to go through, and help us out a little bit.
Yeah, man, definitely. I want to tell you something. It's so Monday at 11 o'clock. It's a good thing that there's still snow on the ground, because I'm going to be there with you. I'll be there going live. See
Good
what you
looking
guys
out. Good
have to
looking
offer.
out.
Definitely do. Listen, man, I live it here. You know what I do. I push really hard for the right thing to be done in Brick and in Ocean County, and you're doing the exact same thing. So if I can't support a guy like you, then what the hell am I doing even having you on and talking this stuff and going to planning board meetings or any of that stuff? So I'll definitely see you there on Monday, and I encourage everybody to get off their hind parts. I'm going to speak nice when I have an assemblyman on. I'm not going to curse, right? But get off your asses and get over Trenton. And you know what, man? The Republicans in New Jersey and the conservatives and the people that aren't Republican, but see this as what it is. You have to start making your voices heard in this state, because it's the times of getting steamrolled to me have to stop. And I didn't like seeing them talking to you like that, man. Paul Kanitra, let me tell you something. Where can they find you everywhere? Follow you where?
Look, it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. We're on everything. It's either Assemblyman Paul, Assemblyman Kanitra, Vote Kanitra. We're easy to find, and we're all over the place. We're trying to reach everybody regardless of what they are. And just keep in mind, everybody, $1,600. That's your tax burden. That's what each and every one of you roughly are paying for this illegal immigration crisis and all the benefits that are out there. Stand up and do something. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, thank you very much, man. Have a safe trip to DC. I really appreciate you coming on. You have an open invite anytime you want to pop on for 15 minutes. You have it, whatever topics you want, man. I really appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Have a good night.
I'll see you Monday.
Bye. Wow, that was awesome. Let me tell you something, man. I need to get my mind right before I bring on my next guest, because that dude's impressive. That was that was an impressive dude. That he clearly understands the issues. He understands how it affects us. I do like the fact that he's nerdy and he likes reading these bills because I've heard that about him. There's a difference. I'm going to tell everybody something right now. I went to my brick council meeting and I asked them why they made a resolution to oppose the New Jersey gas tax, and nobody can answer it. They all just stood staring at me, Republican and Democrat. And then I got kind of like a half-assed answer after 6 minutes of trying to chide answers out of him. And this guy was able to take some of the left wing positions and lay it out logically, numbers wise, everything's well thought out. And one of the things that I think everyone misses is, left or right, whatever it is, if you make decisions, I want them to be well thought out, whether I agree with them or disagree with them. You better be able to defend your position. And if you can't, it's disgusting. That guy clearly can, man. He did a great job. Now I see Mr. Fitnick, and I had Conservative Willy back there. I think he's popping back on. You guys give me a thumbs up in the back if you're ready to pop on. You all good? Conservative Willy, can you hear me? You good? Thumbs up? I don't know if Conservative Willy can hear me. Let's see. How you doing? Let's everybody bring to the stage. Number one, Mr. Fitnick is joining the stage. And let's bring in Conservative Willy. Conservative Willy, can you hear me? He can't hear me. I don't know. I think it's on your end.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear him, huh? And you can't hear me, huh?
I don't know what's going on.
You can't hear
I
him.
lost it.
I don't know what's going on. I think what you give me I have no idea. I don't think it is it's not on my side here. That's interesting.
I can hear you.
Can't hear me at all?
No.
So you got me, right, Mr. Fitnick? All right. So what's up? So everyone knows, everyone has seen this guy. You guys have been all over Lakewood. I wish I could get him here, man. You really can't hear me, huh? Not at all? You got to change the settings. I think you have to change your settings. I'm going to leave you up, but hopefully he could, because I can't change it from over here.
You can hear me though, right, Willie?
Yeah, I got you.
Colton? No?
I guess he can't even hear you. Yeah. So we'll
I can hear you, but I can't hear Mike.
All right, good. So you talk and he'll be able to figure out your answers from you. How about we do this?
Let me go out and come back in.
He's good. Yeah.
You're gonna go out and come back in?
Yeah, it's all good. Level 1 tech support. So do me a favor, bro. Why did you decide to come to Lakewood in the first place?
So I grew up in Bricktown, New Jersey, and I remember when Lakewood was predominantly black. And I remember when the Jewish people were moving in, and I distinctly remember in high school saying something, and one of my teachers were like, "Leave him alone. He needs somewhere to live." I bet you she's regretting that one, huh?
I don't know, man. So I always want to say this because I do want to make this point very clear. I do know so many of them that don't agree with a lot of what's going on. But the problem is a lot of them stick together as a group and they're one solitary unit. And, even if they disagree, they're going to go along. And but there are a lot of different groups of them. There's a lot of different groups, different sects of Judaism. There's a lot of different types of the cultures inside that religion are vast as well. So when you talk about Lakewood, we're really talking about like a Hasidic version and some Orthodox, ultra Orthodox on some of the tactics that they do, and that's what you were talking about. I want to ask you about this. Your video that you just put out, where you said the majority of the benefits go to Lakewood out of the 33 counties. I love your research on that. How did you come by that?
I'm retired corrections in New Jersey, so I spend a lot of time researching stuff and trying to figure things out. And I mean, I've got a lot more to talk about. We haven't announced it yet, but we found a lot more also. I read a lot. That's really it. And then I cross-reference stuff. I check statistics. I check numbers, and Gronk helps. ChatGPT helps. I use them also.
Yeah.
But I cross-reference.
I noticed Gronk does a really good job of getting a lot of information out there, and it seems like it's probably the most accurate information out of all of them. Now what surprised you? So Conservative Willy, you got me right. You can hear me.
Yeah, I got you.
So have you ever seen a place like Lakewood, New Jersey when you got there?
No, absolutely not.
What were your initial thoughts like when it hit you? Like what
I remember looking at Nick and just being like, bro, there's hats and curls everywhere.
Just hopping in like cars.
There's there. I mean, it was crazy. I've never seen that in my life.
Minivans everywhere, cars everywhere, people everywhere. It's definitely a sight. It's turned into a sight, and it's funny because I've been banging this drum of this Lakewood drum for a while, but it's been mostly local. So I'm glad people from out of town are flying in, driving in to take this on. What are like some of the takeaways that you guys have? I mean, one or the other. Just tell me about your trip, what you maybe expected versus what you got, and then what were some of the things that just kind of blew you away? Any funny stories that you ran into? What are we talking here?
Go ahead, Will. Talk.
It was insane. So we get there, and immediately he picks me up from the airport. He's like, we got to go to Lakewood. We got to go to Lakewood right now. And I'm like, all right, let's get it. So we get there, and we're driving around, and I'm like, yo, I'm curious about like the childcare. Like, what's up with the childcare? We went to like 4 or 5 different just houses. They were houses, no address, the address was on there, but no, like, one had a website, and the rest were like no website. We tried to call, the answering machines were full. We were trying to get like what are these about? Like, are there reviews? No reviews. It was wild. It was just crazy because I'm like, bro, I feel like this is childcare. Like, you should be able to look this up, but nothing, absolutely nothing.
No, you won't find anything either because they have them all over the place, right? So I'm getting reports of these type of kids where it's 25 kids going into just a residential house, and they're using that as a childcare. And you're only supposed to be able to have 5 kids, but there's 15, 20 kids going through it. Plus, I've had videos where it's just child after child after child getting dropped off here in the morning and picked up. So it's very interesting. What about you? What about you, Nick?
So there's so much. I mean, I was in Gulfton. I grew up in Ocean County, and then I just moved out down to Florida about a year ago, and I started doing social media, and I started getting a following and a voice. And I'm like, you know what? I need to help these Republicans out in Ocean County because they're getting bled dry, including my mother and my sister. So I picked him up. We were doing the child care, and then we picked some random hospice. And that video is going to come out soon because we found a tide in Minnesota. And we're going to talk to Nick Shirley at the end of the week. We're going to go see him and have a conversation with him and hopefully get him on board because everybody, Nick Shirley, but he's got that national attention. Hopefully, bring more light to it.
Listen, the more people talking, the better. I got Amen Disker in the chat. I love it. She's my favorite. That name is my favorite to say because it's something that I horribly messed up. But Amen Disker says there's 0 daycares in Lakewood for non-Jewish people. I mean, I think that is that's incredibly.
Listen, you can't even buy a house in Lakewood. If you wanted to go live in Lakewood, you want to buy a house in their community. The lawyers are going to stop you. The real estate agents are going to stop you. They do not want us in their community, but they want to take over our community. And to go back with the electric bill and the gas bill, everybody's electric and gas are high. But just so everybody understands, especially in Ocean County, JCP&L and the gas company and the electric company have to invest over $200 million each to update the infrastructure in Lakewood. They're not paying for it. The state's not paying for it. They're going to add it to your gas bill and your electric bill to help pay for that. And Mike, it's just creeping into every other town, and they're going to put their own people in government. And when that happens, regular non-Jewish people don't have a say in the government in the town that they live in and grew up in. It's a goddamn shame, man.
And that's what happens. And what if you found out, because you know that it's. When we talk about this issue, the issue a lot of the times isn't the everyday people. It's the people that are in power positions, and it's the people that get put in power positions that put other people in power positions. Now, there was a story that I was talking about with you, or that I was running about that triangle shaped lot, and you informed me that the one Supreme Court judge who was a Jewish man, and I love the video you just put in about it. He's a Jewish man, so he's the one that appointed the other judge, who's the one that oversees all of the religious land use cases, right?
Yeah. And listen, there's just so much. There's so much to talk about, and you know, make these videos. And you got the child care, you got the illegals that are in Lakewood. You got the renting in the basements that they do. You got the Israeli illegals in Lakewood, and they're all living off the system. And Ocean County, they can't afford any more of this. And by 2030, there's supposed to be 230,000 Jewish people out of Lakewood. Where the fuck are they going to be if there's 110 now? Bricktown,
bro. Like when we went to the grocery store, we're like, hey, how are these people paying? 99% of them are paying with government assistance.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when the numbers that they give you, and this is one of the problems with New Jersey as a whole, right? So when they give you the numbers, 8%, 6 to 8% from Toms River to Bricktown to Howell, all the surrounding areas, that's about their poverty rate, 6 to 8%. It goes back and forth from there. Anybody that you look at says that the poverty rate is 25 to 40%. Now they have a very high young population, right? So it kind of skews it. And then they have an immigrant population who basically are, you know, if the little unwritten rule is they live and they work for all of them, and they basically supply their low living lifestyle where they're also on all government benefits, right? So it's an absolute abuse of the system when you have 40% of people that are on something like on SNAP. But I think the numbers are way higher than what they even give us because of things that what you said, where almost everybody is using some form of WIC or SNAP.
But the crazy part is everyone's playing dumb. Everyone's playing dumb. You talk to people and everyone's just like, yeah, well, you know, it is what it is. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not what it is. Like, this is something we should be diving into.
When I was out with Tyler, and this is what I think everyone's missing with this whole Lakewood thing, and this is why if I could sharpen your arrows and point you guys in the right direction, what everyone's missing with the Lakewood situation in general is this. You're not going to, if you go looking for fraud, the fraud is incredibly well hidden. Good luck finding it. Okay.
Yeah.
What you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for the things that are outright disgusting abuses of the system. And these systems are designed to be completely 100% drained. And they're designed to be drained by the politicians that get voted in and paid for by the backing of certain groups of people. And it's not just one group, it's many groups that want to buy these politicians, get these favorable laws. Absolutely. So what you're going to notice is like our terminology needs to go at absolute abuse. Because when I was out with Tyler, the one thing that every one of these people said, even the kids, dude, I got in an argument with this, like, he couldn't have been more than a 22-year-old kid. But he was saying to me, like, why can't I have 4 kids on welfare and go to school and be married?
Because they think it's okay. They think it's okay.
Yes.
But that's the problem. That's what we were trying to diagnose. We're trying to figure out why they have that thought process. And it's because they've allowed them to have that thought process. To them, they don't feel like they're doing anything wrong. But here in America, we do it differently. And that's the difference. They don't understand what they're doing wrong. And that's what we're trying to bring to light.
So, Mike, I'm
I'm
about to get the list of all the Section 8 homes.
We talked about that today.
And we're gonna go look at some houses that are $700,000, $800,000 homes, 5 bedrooms that are collecting Section 8. Those government assistance programs weren't meant to be used like this, and they're abusing it. And now you say fraud. There is a fraud to it, right?
There is. Because yes, it's legalized fraud. Yes,
it's legalized fraud because the husband and her aren't married from the state. They don't recognize it. So that she can claim all the benefits as a single mom. And then the husband buys the house and she applies those Section 8 benefits to the mortgage of the house. That's stealing. It's plain and simple. I don't care how you look at it. If you lie on paperwork and says your husband isn't living there or isn't working and you're collecting Section 8, any other person, the state's going to go after the husband for child support to recover some of them funds. And in Lakewood, New Jersey, because all the government has been instituted by the Jewish people for the Jewish people and our Jewish people. They don't do anything about it. Just like when the inmates get locked up in the county jail that are Jewish, they get special treatment in Ocean County. And I'm coming out with that video soon too.
Yeah, and I mean you're 100% right, and I want to make something clear. Like my battle is everybody being treated equally, and what I see right now is I see people that are not. I see a lot of special favor. I see a lot of things that nobody else could do besides one group of people, and that. I think when you have that going on, it creates resentment, right? And it creates a double standard, and it creates a hatred where there normally wouldn't be one. Like people, New Jersey, we're celebrated for being a very, very diverse place. But when you go to Lakewood, New Jersey, it has no diversity. It's the most monolithic place in pretty much in this town or in this state, right? And it's unbelievably monolithic. So when you look at the state, everybody can live with everybody. Every group of people lives among everybody else, except for certain groups. And I understand why they live a certain way. I do understand it, and they have all the the Holocaust and everything, all the arguments that they say that they have created their society where it is a segregated but solitude type society. And I always say to everybody, there's stuff to be learned from there, right? When you look into this, let me ask you like a positive thing about this. Did you see anything about their society that you do kind of like, I wouldn't say admire, but think that Americans could learn from?
The crazy part that, I'm glad you said that, because to me, it was like, holy shit, everything's like super clean. Everything looks really nice. Everything's very upkept. That I love that. But the fact that it's like, no, you're good. Go for it.
No, so sorry. Go. I'm gonna hold your thought really quick. So I want to fill you in with a little bit. In 1995, that wasn't the case. Lakewood had you had your really beautiful, awesome areas of Lakewood, and then you had your dilapidated shit houses in Lakewood. That's just the God's honest truth. So yes, the houses that they brought in here are very, very, very. They're nice,
and they got
houses.
them cheap.
They're just on top of each other.
They got them cheap though.
Yep, but go ahead. Sorry,
they ran out. They ran out of a bunch of people, and then they bought it for very cheap, and then they made it look really nice. And when you're getting that kind of money, you can do that. Yeah, that's the crazy part. But no, it was like a culture shock to me, because I'm from a small town in Missouri. Moved to Florida, I thought that was crazy. Then I go with Nik to Lakewood, and I'm like, holy shit! Like there are people on top of people on top of people. There's traffic everywhere. It's freaking, it's nuts. You know what I'm saying? But they do upkeep. Yeah, it is very well taken care of. It's insane to me.
So Willie, when I was younger, as a white guy, probably like 16, 17 around there, you wouldn't go down Martin. You would get you would be in some trouble if you went down that street. Now there's kids playing on the street. But going back to what you said, Mike.
So it made a big positive difference as far as the violence in that community is way down. There's no violence in that community anymore.
No,
they do commit crimes. They do go to jail. They do go to jail. But I talked about their special police force, and people came at me like, oh, they don't have the police. The fuck they don't. They absolutely do.
No, they definitely do. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
there's videos on it.
Let me tell you something. When Tyler comes out with his video, it was funny. I'll tell you a quick story. We watched an accident happen right in front of us. And, dude, they have their Tyler Oliveira, right? I was like his tour guide through Lakewood. It was badass. So they have their cameras running, basically, getting B-roll footage everywhere they go. And we watched an accident happen right in front of us. They throw this thing in park and run. And they have a camera right in this guy's face. Sir, you just got an accident. Or Lakewood drivers as bad as they actually as they say. And this poor guy has a camera in his face. But it was funny because the situation. Wait till you watch the situation that they try getting out of. Right?
Don't spoil it.
Accident, but they were trying to lie to us like we didn't have it on tape. It was fucking.
I was gonna say you got a good story for that. But I don't know if
it's phenomenal. I don't want to give any of this stuff away. I'm giving you a little drip, so I can't wait for this.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yep.
Listen, I only did this to bring awareness because, again, you know, I had 2 daughters and I made good money as an officer, and I still struggled. And now that I'm older and my kids are older, and I see other families that are struggling, living on credit cards and can't pay their bills, and then these people have 8, 9 kids and they're living good. And
you know why?
It's not just the houses; they have nice cars too.
Yeah, and you know what? Because you know what happens. This is the grossness of this entire thing. You know, the $800,000-$900,000 house. You need that if you need 9 bedrooms, man. You know, that's what kind of house you're going to have. But it's the system that we have designed is we have made it to where people can have entire families of 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, and all of them are paid for by the state. We don't regulate how many kids that can actually get welfare. Right. And this is what they were arguing. And it's like I said, it's a culture thing, but they really believe that and they have no problem with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids all on welfare. And it's legal. Okay. Now, if it's legal, it's legal. Our problem is we have to get our laws changed where it's like, guys, you know, this system's designed to where if we can help you, okay, great. You have a kid. I don't ever want to see a woman get pregnant and not be able to deliver the kids. So, yeah, we're going to cover that, obviously, right? But at what point do we say, okay, now it's 5 kids, you want to be on welfare? You can't afford the 2. You couldn't afford the 3rd one. Now you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that type of abuse, allowed abuse, needs to stop. And like that's the drum we need to beat, fellas.
Well, here's what they need to do. I mean, there's a couple things that could fix it. One would be the state recognizing the marriages. That would be huge. And 2, if you're paying for 8 or 9 kids to live, where's the dad? And why are we going after the dad for the money? Like every other issue or family member that it's been going on. Like if I had 5 kids and the state was paying for those 5 kids, you don't think they're going to take money out of my paycheck?
So no. So this is what happens. So I did a really, I want to kind of, I'm not going to say clear the air or contradict you, but I want to clarify a couple things real quick, because that is an issue, but I don't think it's as big of an issue as everybody thinks it is. Okay. And I'm just going to tell you why the sheer numbers don't bear it out. There's 2 different reasons why a Jewish woman wants to be married. Let's just say for number 1, let's say as the woman's perspective. In Judaism, the man has all the power. So if he wants to get a divorce, he can get a divorce. She can't. She has to approve it through him. Okay. In the court of law, she has the power in the courts. So it kind of balances out the marriage. So it's stupid for any Jewish woman to want to do that. The select ones that do that are the ones that are trying to game the system. And when you talk about a 10%, I want to make it very clear. 10% to them is 20, 30,000 people. So yes, it's a big issue, but the far majority of them, they definitely have their marriages recognized. And they have them recognized. Yeah. But what they do is they play that game where they could be married, but make a certain amount and they get, cash, and they have the game where they're only showing what they could still make to get all the welfare and the more kids. And it's every single one. It's not all of them, but there's a large chunk that does that. But yeah, but everyone's focused on the marriages. The far majority of these people get married.
For sure. No, I understand that. Yeah. I understand the majority of, and listen, I'm not saying as a whole.
Yeah, and these numbers are huge, though. Still, these small percentages are big numbers. Yeah,
when you have over 110,000 people living in that small town, those numbers matter. That money 10% matters.
A lot of people. That's 20,000 people.
Right, and it's not just the state that they get money from. There's Jewish billionaires and millionaires that donate and basically help support these families. Like they have their own financial. How do I put it? They have their own resources that they use. The same thing with the mortgages and the cars. And
there's a lot of charity. And one of the things that drives me crazy about the arguments that I hear, right? And this is like the things that I hear about this. They have no money for the schools. They're $252 million in debt for the schools. They're $115 million in debt municipally, right? But all of there was one private school that just closed, but private schools are funded for the most part, and they get a lot of charity, like hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars of charity from these big mega, the mega billionaires that they have that are there that have funded Trump. Okay, But they have all this charity that they speak of just for their Jewish community while the entire town is broke. It's like, if you have all that charity, why can't you fund the most poor of your population, which is the Hispanics and Black kids that are going to Lakewood? They're the ones that are the most vulnerable. They're the ones that are living in the worst poverty because they're outside of your group of care, right? You feel where I'm going? So you have no money for them, but you have all this charity for your community. I wish they took that and said, okay, we're going to make that charity for everybody else because we live in this community. But a lot of the times they don't. And while they have that much charity, they're claiming poverty at the same time with $350-something million in overall debt. It's appalling to me that I could say those numbers and they don't. They make everybody. No one gives. Everyone's like, oh no, that's okay. It's perfectly normal. It's like, yeah, a town that has that much money that claims they're broke is perfectly normal. Makes no sense.
Right. And then you got there's a couple, like, right. You talked about the school system. There's no God. Like, why are we funding buses out of public school money for?
That's a federal law.
I know it's a federal law, but
it's another abuse. Why are we doing it? It's an abuse. Yeah, it's an abuse.
Right, it's being abused. And the problem is, it's not just Lakewood now, right? It's Jackson with Pollock. It's Brick. It's all these towns. They're moving in. And guess what's going to happen? The government's going to swing to the Jewish side. They're going to have all their people in office. And then who represents the non-Jews in the town, Mike, right? Like you just said, all the Black people and the Spanish people in Lakewood. Who represents them? Who helps them out? And when you have like the Lakewood Housing Authority that gives out the Section 8, you think that those people get it? Because that's like I said, Tony, that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about. Like,
no, and everyone
majority of the Section 8 vouchers given out by the Lakewood Housing, because they do it, it's all run by Jewish people. And
there's Jewish people on the Lakewood School Board, and their kids don't go to public schools.
Right.
Just think about that concept. This is when we talk about like the problems in the town in my area, and these are big problems. This is New Jersey wide problems. And what a lot of people don't realize is what happens in Lakewood, New Jersey, actually affects everywhere, because this is a system of people, and there's groups of people that do this in every town. And I'm gonna talk that there's white people that completely abuse the system. There's Blacks. Every single group of people abuse the system, but there's some that have it as a full-on culture that they teach how to take full advantage of it. And then what they do is they get favorable laws to where it's no longer illegal what they're doing. It's legal through the law. It's kind of crazy. Hey, listen, I want to get to Mrs. Teacher New Jersey. New Jersey, I love it, man. This is a huge lineup tonight. But let's do this, man, because I know we have a great show rocking. Conservative Willy, give me your last thoughts on your trip to Lakewood, and then when you're done, tell everybody where they can find you, bro.
Lakewood was eye-opening. I'll give it that. It's crazy how many people are just finally starting to see it. The amazing messages that me and Nik have been receiving, that we are covering this, we are talking about this. The fact that we had to come from Florida to Lakewood to get this out to people is absolutely insane to me, but that's life. You can find me on Conservative Willy on all platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, same thing.
Awesome. Fit Nik.
All right. So the people of Ocean County, especially, you guys need to speak up. It's not anti-Semitic to speak about the truth, people. You guys have been letting this go on too long, me and myself included. People need to speak up. We make this national news, make some headlines. Hopefully things will change, and maybe welfare in Section 8 won't be a lifetime benefit for these people. I love New Jersey. I don't want to live in New Jersey because of the politics and what's going on there. I like the land of the free down in Florida, no matter what they say about the school systems. But anyway, anybody, you guys keep following us. It's Mr. Fit Nik on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Awesome, man. Listen, guys, I really appreciate it. I know it got a little squirrely tonight, but I'm glad it got squirrely. This is turning out to be a badass night. Last couple of comments before I send you guys off. And I'm reading the ones that are right up on my screen right now, guys. I'm sorry, I got to do it pretty quick tonight. But yeah, our public schools are losing money, but we're paying for people that don't
belong here in the first place. They made it very clear to us. What was that? No, let's go to the last one. Prince Vega Epster, we all know what has happened, but we can't do it. You know, one of the things I think these guys are talking about as well is, this is what I don't think anybody understands. When you get involved locally, you could actually make a difference. I made a big difference already just in my town in Brick. They respond. And when you get involved nationally, it feels like you're yelling into an ether. But locally, if you have a voter block of 5,000-10,000 people that want to vote a certain way for a certain person that's going to preserve their way of life, you could really do something. 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. New Jersey that has the numbers. Ocean County has the numbers to get a massive voting block together. If everyone could put their bullshit right, left national ideals aside, because Republican and Democrat, Donald Trump, whether you hate him or love him, he's not causing the traffic in New Jersey. He's not causing the overbuilding or any of that stuff. What we have to do is we have to figure out how to be a solitary unit acting in the best interests of our communities locally, and you have to do that around the country. Listen, I'm telling you something. Follow these guys, Conservative Willy, Mr. Fit Nik. Really appreciate you guys. Listen, you guys, again, have an open invite. Anytime you want to pop in for 20, 30, 40 minutes, an hour, obviously I'm live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a lot of hours to fill. So you guys want to talk about something, you let me know. Pop on. I appreciate it.
Hey, guys, stay tuned because we're not done yet. We got more. We're trying to make sure we got our T's and I's crossed and dotted. That way we don't make any mistakes, but we got some more coming.
Nice. Can't wait. As Bart Scott once said, can't wait. Thanks, boys. Later.
See ya.
All right. How about that? Huh? How about that? Listen, woo, man, this has been righteous and kick ass so far. And man, I think I need a drink. Now, this is what we're going to do here, guys. I have Mrs. I didn't want to say it over and over and over again because I said it during while we were recording this. Full disclosure with this, I recorded this about a week and a half ago, and with a lot of things that are going on, I was trying to figure out a good day to do it, and I picked tonight to do it like I don't know, a week ago. And then obviously things happened where it was going to be just her, and then it popped into all of this. But I'm glad because we have touched now on illegal immigration. We've touched on a specific problem as far as welfare abuse and abuses of the system and abuses of the laws, and how to get politicians on your side and how to do it as a solitary group. We covered that and how that's going. And now we're going to have the softer side, and it's going to be a different angle of the schools. And I have Rhiannon. She is, I call her Mrs. Teacher New Jersey. She is teacher in New Jersey. Now, if you're going to notice this, I look a little different when I put this on the screen because it was recorded before I had a haircut. All right. And this day when we recorded this, I was absolutely exhausted. So I apologize if I'm terrible, but she is absolutely amazing. So without further ado, let me bring you our next guest. And here she is. All right, everybody. I have got a treat for you. We have in front of us Teacher New Jersey, Rhiannon. How are you doing today, Rhiannon?
I'm doing well. Right? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Did I say it right?
You did. You did.
Nailed it. So listen, I reached out to you. You got right back to me. We've been going back and forth a little bit, but I am thrilled to have you here. The first thing I want to do is I want to get to know you just a little bit because we really don't know each other. Like you make awesome videos, incredibly informative. Everything it has to do with not just the schools, but in regards to New Jersey's different bills that they're passing. Your videos are awesome, but what made you start doing them? Let's start there.
So never had I imagined that I would end up here because I had always been shy growing up. I grew up in Ocean County my whole life, and I have 4 kids of my own. I've been teaching for 22 years. And ever since 2018, the funding formula kicked in. I didn't know it at the time, but I had seen changes happening within my own district, and just locally people started talking, and I started to pay attention. And then when 2020 hit, and we saw such drastic changes with our rights, with medical freedoms and things like that, it really woke me up to starting to pay attention to different sources of news, to get firsthand accounts from different people, and to look and kind of read between the lines when somebody was saying something that seemed really sensationalized. And it's also when I started reaching out to our town council or our local senator. I went to a couple of our town meetings. I actually went to a county commissioner meeting. So things that I had never made time to be involved in because I was so wrapped up in having my kids and just working. And I learned so much in how the process works and how difficult it is to understand what's happening. And that got me frustrated. So I figured if it was that much of a struggle for me to get through to things, as I started learning, I started sharing. And that's kind of how I got to be here.
So we have a really eerily similar story there, Teacher in New Jersey. Is that how you want me to teach you? Is it Mrs. Teacher in New Jersey? Is it Miss?
You can just call me Rhiannon. That's fine.
But I kind of want to go with Mrs. Teacher in New Jersey. I think that's going to be a little bit more fun, right? You said you're married with kids, right? So we're Mrs. Yeah. We're Mrs. We're no longer Miss. So yeah. So I like to be formal with my teachers because I was raised in Catholic school. I have to be respectful, Mrs. Teacher in New Jersey. But. So you said a lot there, but we have the exact same way that we started. I got really sick and tired of not knowing who to believe, right? And we have all these things coming out of everywhere, and that's one of the things that you said was you started looking into different news sources. Is that because you realized you were being lied to, or what's the kind of quick skinny there?
Things just didn't add up, and when the trigger for me was when they closed businesses, and
besides liquor stores and fast food
has the authority to take away the ability for you to make a living like that? That's a core. And then when I saw the censorship happening, I never imagined in America that, if you spoke anything about what was happening medically in 2020, you were shut down. And I was like, where is the free exchange of ideas? And it's when I connected with some of my videos will be about NJ5 PAC, which was a group of women that got together and created a political action committee, but they were all about medical freedom and what was happening with vaccinations, which I had never been a part of, but I saw how they had worked to get information out and how the censorship was affecting everybody. And through them, I met medical doctors that were disagreeing with things that were happening. And that it threw me for a loop because it was things I had trusted. And here somebody's telling me different. And now I have these two options to weigh, and really figure out where I wanted to stand on things.
It's like you took my story and just kind of replaced it with your own.
I feel like so many of us went through it.
I think we did. And it's one of those things where people told me that I needed to start a podcast. I needed to do videos and things. And were people telling you needed to do this, or were you just like, that's it? I'm frustrated. I can't take any more of this stuff. I want to be the person that people go to, because the truth is, I get, your videos get sent to me more than anybody else's videos get sent, especially in this area. I'm really not kidding. My wife said it when I told her I was having you on. She's like, "Oh, I love her. She's the only one that I really even listen to." So, I don't know if you realize that, but you are. You're giving people, honest information, and I appreciate it. Did you just take it upon yourself to do it one day?
Yeah, it kind of evolved. It went from where I was like ranting or finding things, or I would interject on something that I saw, or just trying to share information that people weren't seeing on the mainstream news, because I would talk to people, they'd be like, I don't know anything about that. But I'm not an expert in any of the fields. I really just try to share my experience. And I had started listening to podcasts over that time period. So I was getting information that then I would see come out on news a couple days later. And I was like, why are we getting this information so much faster? And it was because it's people on the ground reporting, or that have access to podcasts that can share right then and there in their community what was happening. And I really liked that. So as I look at the news, I realize people are so wrapped up in everything that they do during the day that they often just kind of black it out. So if you can talk about things in smaller clips of hey, I just saw this, what are your thoughts? And I get so much information because people reach out to me from different parts of the state saying, oh my gosh, this is, I heard what you're talking about. Here's some more information about where I am.
That's the best part of this, isn't it?
It really is, because you get a more thorough understanding.
But you also get a feeling that people really do care. You know, one of the things that you hear all the time is people don't care about this stuff. People don't care about this stuff, especially when I started this thing locally. But when you start doing it, you realize that people do care. The amount of people that reach out to me it's kind of insane. You know, it's really cool. It's honestly really cool. But let's get into like some of your videos. The funding formula happened, and Brick lost $5 million of funding this year. In 1 year, we lost in 5 years, we lost $25 million right underneath that. So tell me your understanding of the funding formula and why it bothers you.
So my district was in the same boat, and in Ocean County in all was impacted the most out of the whole state. They lost $300 million in state funding throughout all the towns in Ocean County. And there were 6 districts. I pulled them up. It was Brick, Toms River, Jackson, Lacey, Freehold, and Manalapan, Englishtown that got together and did a lawsuit to try to expose what the funding formula was, because they couldn't get it. They released part of it, but it was redacted. So there were still pieces of it that like they weighted it a certain way, so nobody knew what was actually happening with it. And I watched, it's part of like what I started paying attention to, because it's school budget season. And I never thought I would start paying attention to school budget season. I just want to go to school, have my kids learn, have my own kids have a nice experience. And what was happening is it would be this time of year and we would start hearing rumblings. Oh, there's going to be layoffs. Oh, you're not going to have a contract. Oh, we're going to have bigger class sizes. Guess what? We're not getting new books, or, you're not getting any more class trips unless you can find somewhere free to go. So every year we'd be like, all right, well, it can't get any worse than this. And then next year would hit, and then next year would hit. And we're down so many staff members. Our class sizes just keep growing. And one of the other factors, because I see people that not retaliate, but kind of try to say, oh, well, you don't know how the school funding formula works. Their enrollment is down. More people are homeschooling. More people are doing this. Well, the other thing that's happened is our special education population has increased. And that's something that I think only last year the formula started to change on. But the autism rate in New Jersey, I think it's 86%. It's increased since the funding formula changes, like 2018. And I don't think that that's factored in properly. That would be another piece of the formula that I think they're missing, because that adds a lot of extra costs. Some students need a para, some need different services for speech, for OT, and all of those things add to that school budget. And when you're getting year after year cuts and less staff, it just makes it harder and harder.
And think about what you guys are facing. And this is what I want everybody to grasp, like based on what you just said. The cost of what we have per student. So I know like Brick spends about $14,000 per student on average, but they also have students it was 14 to 16. I think we're upwards of $16,000 right now. But what people don't realize is you have ELL students, right? And tell me correct me wherever I'm wrong, because this is my understanding. And I'm asking you because, you obviously have some knowledge on this. You have your ELL students. They say they cost anywhere from 3 to 6 times more. As far as if you're not reading at grade level by 3rd grade, you cost more. But English language learners cost 6 times the amount. And apparently, when you have special needs, your special needs are way over 6 times that amount, where it's almost $100,000 per student, right? One of the things that you hear is how certain schools are funded way too much, and certain schools aren't funded enough. Like our school clearly doesn't have the funding. But we got all those unfunded mandates, like the increase in ELL students from 70 to over 700, the increase in autistic kids and some special needs, which it's no fault of their own. But how do they justify the lower in enrollment, but the increase in the cost per student?
That's one of the things. Like I said, I don't claim to be an expert in any of it. My experience is coming at it as a mom of 4 children that are in it, and then being a teacher, watching the differences that have happened since I started until now. not just in the job demands of the increase of the workload, but, the expectations of the kids with testing, with all of the data, and then the needs of the children and this funding formula and how hard Ocean County has been hit. And the reason I started kind of reaching out and doing the videos and when people send me information and sharing it is because I want people across New Jersey to understand that you're not alone. Because what happens is people are going about their day and then they get something on Facebook that says the school has funding cuts and class sizes are going to explode and you're going to lose your club and your sports. And then everybody shows up at a school board meeting, highly upset, rightfully so. A lot of people will speak. There's a lot of emotions, but by that time, the school has already received their notification of what they're getting, and they have to do what they can to make it work. And it's kind of too late. And we've gone through it so many times that I wanted to start sharing and get people to form, not an alliance, but like talk to each other from other towns and say you're not alone. And how can we get together to make the people in Trenton that are deciding how we're going to fund our schools to see the suffering that's happening? Because I think sometimes when people are in it and they're doing a spreadsheet, it's not humans anymore. You're looking at numbers. So it's a little bit easier to take, we're going to take 10% from them and give it to them. Well, do you know what that 10% is doing to those people? And I think that's the discussion that has to be had with who's going to make this decision. We have a new governor that just got inaugurated today, and she's spoken on fixing the funding formula.
sorry, I didn't mean. Sorry, I was coughing.
No, but you know what? Like, I'm not. I wasn't behind her as a candidate, but I don't want her to fail. I'm hoping that she'll look at things and listen to us, that people handed in the survey, but also that people can communicate to her, especially in Ocean County, how much it's devastated us. I've had people reaching out from Jefferson that are going through it right now. They're hit really hard. They need to know.
Rhiannon, how do you fix a funding formula that you won't even admit has a problem because you say it's fully funded schools? That's what Murphy has been pushing this entire time. These are fully funded schools. We fully funded our educational system. Did everybody know that? We fully funded it. They won't even admit it. And like you said, what I heard happen was our town got it, but they got it in a weird format that they didn't have. They wouldn't give them the program to run the funding formula, so they couldn't even see it. But all the towns just kind of give up. It's so gross when you watch all this stuff. But let's ask this: when you have the states controlling, like Newark came in, right? Weren't they? Didn't they get controlled for like 30 years? And then the state came in, and now they have like a $1.2 billion budget or whatever it is. Seems like the state comes in, they give them to some of these districts. And like you said, the suffering happens on our level when we have to take our kids to school, when we have to get forced taxes. Why don't you hit on that a little bit as well? Because you take somewhere like Tom's River, what were they forced of an increase, like a 14% increase because they didn't want to force the taxes on all their on all their citizens? And it's a lot of money. It's over $500 a year, right?
Yeah, they were really big hits. You had not this year, the year before, they did a deal where if you went to 9.9% school tax increase, then you got so much more state aid. I forget what the dollar amount was. So a lot of the school boards said, all right, we're going to do this 9.9% and then we'll be okay. And then the next year came and they allowed them to go over the cap again. And there was an incentive, but a lot of districts had to do even more than 9.9%. I think Tom's River was 12.9. You had Little Egg Harbor that I think had to do like a 29% tax increase. They were just really big hits. And then there had been no cap on how much more state aid you could get until last year. All of a sudden, Murphy was like, all right, we're not going to cut you more than 3%, but you're not going to get more than 6% in your increase. So all of a sudden, these schools finally hit rock bottom and were eligible for more aid. And he was like, you're only getting 6% is an increase. So
it just happens to be areas that vote against them. But I will digress with that. But when you look at what happened with Tom's River, I remember years back, what was this? It had to be 2017, maybe. I don't know if you know this, but they had that school funding referendum, I remember, where they were touting that it was only going to be $142 per citizen because they needed to increase. They had schools without AC and they had all these issues, but it was millions of dollars that they had the school funding referendum. That it seemed like after they sold that to everybody, taxes went up because of the school funding formula. And, it's $500 this year, but that's on top of everything that was going up in the years past. People are paying a lot more money now than they were just 10 years ago, even 5 years ago in these towns. And it's all because of this loss of funding. And they deem that the way that, I don't know if you know this aspect of it, but from what I understand, my town, for example, was deemed a richer town. That was also part of the funding formula. So it wasn't just how many kids you lost. It was also about how much money or what your net worth was in the town. And my town's like a bunch of working class guys, but we have the beach where we have parts of brick, we have parts area that are really, you have a lot of money, but it's mostly working class people. And they deemed us a rich town to where they could tax us more. They want us to rely more on the tax, like taxing the citizens. I don't know how they get away with it by not getting the blame for raising these taxes. It's unbelievable. Because
it's also a perfect storm. You had what happened with the housing market. People who bought their house 10 years ago bought it. It was affordable. And then when they say, oh, well, your house, it's great that the equity in your house has doubled, but you're not cashing in on that, but now you're getting taxed on it.
Yep.
The school taxes are exploding, and then you're getting your energy bill hitting you. Like, people are really in a hard spot with the affordability of everything that has happened from the decisions that have been made so far.
So besides the funding, because funding really seems like a big problem, how big, if you can, like maybe rate the problems with overall school funding, where you see the lack, the where you see is it lacking, right? Is the problem that we have just way too many special needs kids that are coming into the system that need a lot more care? Is it the English language learners? Is it one thing, or is it a multitude? Like, what's your read on it? And maybe do you have a solution to any of this stuff?
So that's the part where each region in New Jersey is so unique. So you can't put a single blanket on every single school, because the population of anything could vary so greatly from one town to the next. Solution wise, I mean, there has to be, just like I always think of like the construction industry and how there's people who use programs for insurance work to say, this is how much the job is worth, right? Here's the materials, here's the labor, and you can come up with like, here's what your insurance claim is. There has to be a transparent way to say, here's the IEPs that you have. This is how much it's going to cost in services. Here's your other student population and the clubs and the services that you want to be able to provide. And here's where you need to be at. I don't understand how you can just withdraw these vast amounts of aid that they were getting and expect them to be able to recoup it in that 7 years by just taxing. So do I have an answer? No, like, I am not financially like where I could put together some kind of magical formula. That's like why I feel we've elected people that have staff to come up with these things, but it's got to get better. Like, you have to recognize how devastating it has been. I think there's 150 districts that have had state aid cuts. So I don't have a direct answer. I just know you got to recognize what you're doing isn't working.
Yeah. No, so let me ask this, because maybe don't answer anything that'll, obviously get you in jeopardy with your job or any of those things. But as a teacher in the classroom, besides, clear funding shortages, you hear about teachers that take their own money and they buy school supplies, and you hear these stories all the time. But what do you think are the biggest challenges outside the funding that a regular everyday teacher faces right now?
So I would say that the biggest difficulty is time, because what's happened from the time that I started teaching until now, we've added so many aspects to things where the testing was a lot shorter. There was a little bit more flexibility in some of the curriculum as to being creative. Now things are very data driven. So beyond your regular scope of teaching, you're working with technology. So we've integrated the technology into the classroom, and that's been added onto, the teacher's scopes of things, like making sure it's the smallest things, but did you plug your Chromebook in? Did you take care of it? Do you have all the things that you need? It's small things that add to time, where you used to just have a paper grade book. Now you have your paper, and then you have to enter the data into multiple points on the computers, as well as you used to make phone calls occasionally when somebody needed it. But now it's emails, Remind, Google Classroom. Besides having the assignments in the classroom, is it posted digitally for the students that are absent, right? So there's a lot of pieces that we've taken on, and there's not a lot more time given for those extra things that are expected and needed to, function in this day and age.
That's number one. What if I had to ask you a personal question, like in your 20 years of teaching, have you seen parental engagement increase, decrease, stay the same? What are we talking about now? Do you see that changing at all?
Well, I think that varies so much too, but you definitely see, I think with the availability of the information so much digitally, like there's a Remind, they can check a portal, they can see the email. So they might think that things are going on and take a step back, or you have the other end of the spectrum where parents are super involved and taking every moment of the day, and there's less independence for the child. So like anything,
call them helicopter parents, right? Weren't they called?
Yeah, there's a big span there of the parent engagement. But as a mom, I always look at it as we enter the year as a team. So our goal is to get your child from point A to point B, and working together is key for that. So.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm asking is more of like if there was a change that you've noticed in parents, right, or the change in the kids, because you hear this a lot, and I don't know if I see a big change. I know the kids that I coached in Little League that grew up with my son, they were supposed to be these horrible kids. They're all very hard workers. Some are cops right now, some are starting business, some are in college, some are graduating. So I don't what I'm asking is, in the 20 years, have you seen the kids change a lot? Have you seen the parents change a lot? Or is it more you seen the bigger differences come out of the state that affects us more than actually anything else? Do you know where I'm going?
Yeah, I think I see a lot of change because there is such a focus on the testing, that the way material is handled is different. I think that the children still thrive on the same things. They're proud when they see their own improvement, but there's a lot of pressure on certain parts of that. So ideally, what I would like to see is we've got all these tools now, like with AI and things, like you can really get an individualized picture of where a child is at. But I wish there was a better way to make things more relevant to them in the classroom. Like I think some of my fondest memories of middle school were being able to go to shop class and measure and work with my hands and like produce something, or when we got to go to home economics, and it was just a different movement within the room and like what you were expected to do and accomplish. And it wasn't just sitting at a desk, reading a passage, answering the questions, being on a computer. I think if we could tie in some of the vocational abilities and our communities to like apprenticeships and getting kids feeling how relevant things are in the real world, you'd have a lot more engagement.
So please tell me 20 years ago, you weren't one of those teachers that said, you're not going to have a calculator with you everywhere you go.
Yeah, I don't think I said that, but I do still say you need to know your multiplication facts. Okay. No matter where you are.
I will. Now I am a mason contractor, a lowly mason contractor, and I'm gonna confirm what Mrs. Teacher New Jersey said, that I am. It's very weird because I never thought I'd be multiplying and dividing by fractions as much as I do. But if you notice, a tape measure, block, and everything, they are not 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch. They're 2 7/8, 2 1/2, 2 3/8. everything is a fraction. And when you have to measure out fractions and find a starting point, an ending point, math definitely. But like cursive, can you answer cursive? Do you think kids need to learn how to write in cursive? Is that an important thing for players?
While I don't think it's absolutely necessary, like if you don't have cursive, you're not gonna be able to function. There's a lot of research that says if you write specifically in cursive, the synapses in your brain that are active, not only will you remember it better, but you're building stronger connections. There's something special that happens. There's a phrase my partner teacher always says, if you ink it, you think it, and just writing it down. Whereas if you type it, it doesn't make the same connections. So can people do it? Absolutely. Some people hear things and they'll remember it more accurately, but there's research out there that if you can write it, it sticks better. And just, in the aspect of actual living and you have to jot something down real quick, cursive is a much faster way. So students that get the hand of it will have just something special that other people that don't practice it won't.
That's interesting. Because I remember hearing in college, one of my psychology professors told me to take notes in colored inks. And because that way my brain would, when I write it down, he said, when you write it in colored ink, you'll remember it better. So that's very interesting that you kind of made that link there.
That's funny that you said that, because I used to have one of the multicolored pens and that's what I liked to do. I never had anybody tell me that, but I always did 2 different colors and the contrast helped me.
Oh, you didn't have that really big pen that had like nine different clicks
down?
Yeah,
I think every girl had that. Yeah, that was a flex.
That was a flex, right? You could do serious artwork. Some of the artwork that used to come off it, especially remember when I remember the days where we used to cover our books in brown paper. It was shopping bags. And then that was the best because you could redo it. You could draw on it. I used to draw all the book covers. There was a lot of creativity there. Now you don't have that anymore, do you?
No, textbooks are usually housed in the classroom. I think as they get into middle school, there's a little bit more where they'll have a textbook. But again, covering
kids will never know the glory of a book cover. I'll tell you that much.
I know.
But what else do you want? Do you want everybody to know about the school system?
Well. Again, I can only speak from my experience. So one of the misnomers, like when people talk about like teaching and indoctrination, again, you can't speak to everybody, but I can tell you that all of the teachers that I work with are working their hardest to do what's best for the kids educationally, to get them through the year, to have them feel proud of themselves and build themselves up. And like that piece where people are negative saying like, oh, what's happening at school? I don't see that. But like I said, I value working with families and saying, we're in this together this year, talk to me if there's a problem, we're going to work it out, find out how we can move your child through this the best that they can. So that would be one of the things that, personally, I haven't encountered. One of the other things that I think about is being in education and then hearing other people talk about it. When you're not in the field, there's just certain things that you're not aware of in the everyday. So like if I was going to tell you one of the math standards that I teach, if I read it to you as it's written, or I just said, we're dividing with decimals today, there's a big difference. So that's one of my biggest things in when I look at who's sitting on the education committee, and, some of them probably have a background in education, but a lot of them, the Assembly and the Senate, it's considered a part-time job, even though they just got full-time salaries, kind of. Their increase is a good increase. And that was one of the things. All right, you're getting this increase. I want to see what you're doing. And I like how the Assembly GOP started putting out videos, and some of the key assemblymen like Alex Sawicki has been putting out a lot of information. Assemblyman Kanitra, Fantasia. They've been putting out what they're doing. And I think it's important to work with the community in that way, because for me, for education, if you're sitting there making decisions, you need to know what I'm going through in the classroom and as a parent. And they can't be all knowing. So if they're looking at a spreadsheet and like, all right, we can fund this school because we're cutting from here, but they don't know what those cuts have done to us, it's our job to let them know you can't make a change unless you actually know what's happening. So I feel like when somebody gives a report and it's just like the facts, like, well, do you know that these kids don't have after school clubs anymore because there's no bus? Or that, well, the parents that are home can take them, but the parents that are working 2 jobs to pay the extra energy bills and the taxes, their kids don't go to clubs because there's nobody to pick them up and there's no late bus anymore. You know, those are the pieces that I want the people across New Jersey that have experienced these cuts to be able to put together and express it to the people that are going to make decisions on tweaking this formula and just make it better so that all the kids in New Jersey can have a good school experience.
I wish there was an answer to it. You know, I really wish we knew what I think we know the effects of the school funding formula. You see it, right? I think me and you know it. I don't know if the average person does, but I think it's clear to people in Ocean County, to people where you live and all over the state. What did you say? 150 different school districts are facing this. You know, it's clear to us. It's clear that we have higher classrooms. In Brick, it's clear that we lost, I think, 400 different overall jobs in our school system. It's clear that we definitely have a problem with busing our kids to different events. Like, we see all the problems that come down, but it doesn't seem like anybody is actually admitting what the problems are besides some of the people that you have. Have you heard anything out of like Mikey Sherrill about admitting, like, understanding what the real problems are? Because I heard one of the things that she came up with was combining school districts, right? To make regional school districts. It seems like these are the plans that they have, and the plans really aren't revolving around the school funding formula.
Right. I have seen, and both, you know, when Jack was running, they both talked about consolidation because New Jersey is unique in that there's, you know, almost 600 districts. So having a model of like a county district or something overall sounds like it would cut back costs because you wouldn't have maybe as much higher admin. I did see that there's a bill to kind of forcibly consolidate any district that's under 500 students. But, you know, like, again, I don't know financially how that would impact things. Would it help? It seems like it would, but then again, you're taking away local control. So going to that school board meeting, it's now a county district. Whenever you get something like that, you're giving up something else. So I would never even say that this is a simple issue to fix.
No, it's not.
I just know how devastating it's been the last 7 years.
And I could tell you right off the bat, the superintendent of Brick Schools and some of the surrounding areas around Lakewood would not want to have to take on their debt and any of their responsibility, because they were talking. I don't know if you probably did see this, and they were talking about the greater Lakewood area and combining a lot of these school districts into Lakewood. They've been toying around with the idea of a Lakewood city, of combining a lot of these areas. I don't believe in any of that hype, but I think it's being spoken about. That's for sure. But it's just very interesting when you, like you said, the losing of the local control. I think that's part of the problem. I really do. I think when you put more power in the hands of individuals in our areas, school boards, teachers like you who knows what these students need, those students need. You obviously have different communities. We're a very diverse teaching or very diverse state. So you have a lot of different communities that need different needs. So we have to figure out a formula that funds everything fairly. And right now, I don't think it's fair. I think people in Ocean County in certain voting districts, I'll come right out and say it. You don't have to get controversial, but it's just funny how a lot of the areas that lost funding are strong Republican districts in the state of New Jersey. But I'll say that you don't have to. You don't have to.
I would hope that would not be the reason.
You put it past anybody? Yes, you're right. I would hope that everybody would act right. I would hope that we didn't have I would hope we just had to ask for the funding formula, right? Like, hey, Murphy, like, what is the funding formula? Oh, here it is. Why we had to sue for it in the first place is insane. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I hope people just act right, but I know that they haven't been acting right. They need a lot to act right, but they don't have it. So I have very little faith in anybody to just do that. So, Yes, I love it. I would love it, Mrs. Teacher New Jersey, to have a lot of hope in these people, but they have taken my hope and they have squandered it. I don't know how you feel, but Eddie, what are your like? We'll do some last words because that was great. Unless you want to touch on any other topics. I don't know.
No, that's my biggest dream is that people will come together and explain to Trenton how it's impacted them and inspire them to make the formula fair enough that the children in New Jersey are having regular class sizes, resources, buses, just the basics.
The basics, and we 100% need the basics, and the basics are falling apart. And I'll tell you one more thing. Watching Brick, New Jersey get $25 million taken from it in 5 years, but then last year watching the school board have to really parse through a loan or a grant from the state of New Jersey for electric buses, 25 electric buses that they were going to give us up to $9 million for. It's like, hold on. You took $25 million for my kids' education, but now we have to spend way more money on electric buses so I could get them there. It seems so disjointed to me that I don't think we have the priorities in our right spots. But listen, how do you think people could come together? Now, one of the things, obviously, is continue to follow you on all your pages. Do you want to put your pages out there? Because one of the things I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to bring a coalition together, and you obviously sound the exact same way. I think we need a wave of people to really push back hard, because right now it seems like you said something to me when we were talking, and I say something often. When we do this as individuals and we don't have a group together, we're like shouting into the ether. It's just we're getting nothing back, right? But how would you like to see people come together if you have a way? And please plug everywhere they could find you.
So my handle is Teacher New Jersey. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Coming together, I would recommend that people start being active in their community. That for the school issues, definitely attend your school board meetings when you can, or if you can't, maybe delegate it to somebody that can go and keep everybody up on it, but find out what's happening in your district and then communicate it with the Assembly and the Senate education committees, whether you email them, whether you send them a letter in the mail. I'm waiting to see when they have their committee meetings so that we can see what bills are going to be presented and if anything is coming up with the formula so we can offer public testimony. But no matter what, I think sending an email, the Senate Assembly chair for the Education Committee is Gopal. And then on the Assembly side, it's Verlina Reynolds Jackson. So I feel like those are the two key people aside from the state Department of Education that need to hear how it's affecting us. And you could do that within going to your local school board meeting and talking to one another when it's over and making a plan. Like, let's send some letters, let's email, let's find out when the next meeting is and see if we can get a couple people to attend.
Getting involved. I think you see this. I see it with Brick, right? I did this with the Brick breakdown, and I noticed just my involvement. You can make a difference locally. You're not shouting into the ether. It may be way more difficult for the state. But if we do focus on our towns first, getting our towns in line, getting the right people in the right places, I think if we get our own backyard in order, and it takes people getting involved. We don't realize how much power we have. We have all the power. We just have to stop staying on the sidelines. And it really doesn't take a big percentage. It really takes 3% of the population. That's the truth. I mean, we need 3% of the population to really get heavily involved in this stuff. And I think you will see a lot of change. And it does start. Listen, everybody, please give her some love. She is phenomenal on these. Teacher New Jersey. Check her out on all of her platforms. What you do to help us out, people like us, is you try to watch the whole video and share it. That really, to me, seems like it goes through really well with these. And you're going to want to watch her videos because you touch on everything from the state taking over vaccines, or they're not listening to the CDC, to all different types of state bills, right? It's not just not just the school system.
And that's the thing. Like I said, I'm not an expert in any of the things, but in this journey that I've been on, I've connected with so many different groups. So they reach out to me and they're like, here's what's going on. Can you put it out there? So I'm getting valuable information and then sharing it out to the community. So I try to be that kind of the hub of like, all right, here's what we're looking at now. And sometimes it's so much, it's overwhelming because there's a lot going on in New Jersey. But I'm thankful for the community that reaches out to me, to the messages that I get when they're like, hey, I'm going through the same thing you are. Look at this. And they point me in the direction of the information that needs to be shared so we can see we're not in it alone.
No, and we have to have a sense that we have some hope for our future in this area. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think one of the things that really is disheartening to me, Mrs. Teacher New Jersey, is that when I hear people in my area say this area is already over with, where, you know, I have to get out of New Jersey, I can't retire here. When I hear things like that from lifelong residents, it bothers me. And I think that's something that we have to work on. And like you said, we have to figure out how to adequately fund our schools, because New Jersey is absolutely disgustingly terrible at it.
Without 30% tax increases.
without year after year after year after year, right? At some point when the spigot is going to run out, I know we can't just continue to get all and big increases. You know, $500 a year is not a little tax increase, and that's just the school budget, right? So I know in my area it was like $500 in this, $300 in this, $100 over here, like you said, electric, and then you start adding those up, it's you know, thousands of dollars a year. And thank the Lord the gas prices are down, because I'll tell you, when diesel went up to $6 a couple years back, that really hurt. You know, hurts. So it definitely hurts. So thank you very much, everybody. Mrs. Teacher New Jersey. Don't write in Mrs. Teacher New Jersey. It's teacher_New Jersey, right?
Teacher in New Jersey.
Oh, teacher in New Jersey. Teacher in New Jersey. Okay. I thought I read that differently. Okay, cool. So you pop up on a whole bunch of different, your TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Oh, awesome. Awesome. So thank you very much for joining us. Everybody, check her out. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that show tonight. I know this is typically a long show for me, but I love it. Listen, I'll do this nonstop. I love being the guy that's able to bring it to you. If you guys could do me a favor, I love that you're here. If you're still here watching the entire thing, I love all you guys. Listen, from everybody in the chat, I'm sorry I couldn't get to you today, but I mean, we have a lot of new names in there. Prince Vega's in there. Amen Diskers. I mean, I love saying Amen Disker, but Jose Roche. That's just some of the people in the YouTube chat. We had a lot of people in YouTube, a lot of people watching on Facebook, a lot of people watching on Rumble. This is a very good show for us. Thank you very much for all the support. Remember, take the finger. I'm going to say it very nice because we just had Mrs. Teacher New Jersey on. Take that finger and touch that like button for me, nice and gently. It likes to be touched gently because we just had a lady on the show. Touch that like button gently. If you want to share the show, please share the show. And, of course, join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 p.m. typically to 9 p.m. We usually run an hour. And I always say it like this, guys. The way you become a Caltrop is when you get armed with information. When you arm your mind with information, you put the propaganda aside. Propaganda is coming from both sides, and it's coming from you locally. We just saw that with some local elections on how there was straight up paid propaganda, and it's coming down to like a very interesting head over in a town of mine. But you become a Caltrop when you become a defense mechanism of your own mind from all of from all of that bullshit. And I really thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you. And listen, this Caltrop is out. Later.